How many kicks does it take to get to the center of a Nike Blazer? We're gonna find that out today by literally ollieing until we wear through this patch. And also we're gonna cut it in half because that's what we do. And I also wanna see what's inside of these because I bought myself a pair before I wear them and they're not returnable. I wanna see if they're worth keeping. But first let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is the easiest sponsor for me to do because they've sponsored so many videos and everyone in the shop loves them. And this is literally the last box of Magic Spoon we have in the shop. And it is all gone. And it's my favorite flavor. And the reason it's always gone is everyone in the shop loves it. It's a super good cereal. It's healthy. It's the high protein, keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, wheat free, naturally flavored, delicious childlike cereal for grown-ups. It's not quite as sugary and overwhelming as the really sugary child cereal, but it's far from the bland, boring cereal that you're supposed to be eating at 30 like me. So this is a nice compromise because it's still healthy and it tastes really good and I don't feel slow and gross after eating it in the morning. What I recommend most people doing is getting the variety pack where you can choose whatever flavors you want in a variety pack and try them all out and figure out which ones you really like and which ones maybe you don't like. Cocoa is one of my favorites, but also peanut butter. Peanut butter is probably my most favorite out of the favorites. So check Magic Spoon out via the link in my description and use the code ROSEANVIL at checkout to get $5 off your first order. So thanks again to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Check them out, it's pretty delicious. So I was walking around the mall in preparation for the fake Timberlands video and I saw these and I'd seen these shoes before, but I never really noticed the patches on the toe and the side here. And they reminded me a lot of the Indy 1 boots I designed with Nick's, because it's basically the exact same setup with the toe cap and the little lineman patch here, or the ollie patch. And I've also had a lot of friends that have worn these for skating, and I've heard people talk about them and how they like the patches here for the extra wear resistance. But I'm really curious now, is this an actual patch or is it just the look of a patch and it's not actually 2 layers doubled up? So now let's go over the shoe information. So the brand is Nike. The model is the BLAZER Mid 77s. The colorway this one is black, speed yellow, and game royal. And they weigh 13 ounces. They retail for $100 to about $110, and they're made in Indonesia. And the history behind these shoes is pretty interesting, and it's a lot like all the other vintage sneakers. It was originally designed as a basketball sneaker in 1973 and Nike introduced it that way and it got pretty popular. But as shoe technology advanced and these vulcanized rubber soles and the basic upper design gave way to more crazy designs and air units and all this other stuff, but it got picked up later by the skating community for the reasons I talked about previously with the patches, but also because skaters found this outsole and this shoe a really good skating shoe because of the flat, grippy herringbone outsole. And since then, Nike has used this platform to do some pretty cool collaborations like with Supreme and Off-White. And so now let's go over the information that we can gather about it before cutting in half, starting with the leather upper. So the majority of the upper seems to be leather. You know, they come in different types of leather. Like this is a pretty flat and firm leather. This other pair is a tumbled leather that's a little bit softer. But almost always these leather uppers are chrome tan, and it's a cheaper chrome tan because it's Nike, and for this price point, it's got to be fairly cheap. Then we also have the suede patches. So why do skaters like those suede patches? Well, if you don't know anything about skateboarding, skateboarders use the board when they're doing tricks and their foot to manipulate the board in the air by dragging their foot across the board and moving it how they want. The problem with that is skateboards are topped with grip tape, which is basically just shoe sandpaper. And so you go through a crazy amount of shoes when you're skating. And suede and rough out leather is a lot more abrasion resistant. So to have 2 patches where a lot of skaters wear their shoes out prematurely is a huge plus for skaters if it's an actual double layer. And that's why we're gonna have Sam do 100 kickflips or ollies until we wear them out. So now to the lining. So this looks like leather, but it's not leather. It's a fake leather, and I hate when shoes do this. I hate fake leather on the inside of shoes because I feel like if I'm not wearing tall enough socks, it like wears funny, and I don't like how hot and like quit eating paper, psycho. I don't like how it makes you kind of clammy, and it feels like it wears my ankle out weird. I don't like that, but it might be a little bit more wear resistant than a fabric backing. It's hard to say, but it is what it is. The rest of it is lined with a fabric liner, and the footbed is lined with a terry cloth material like we saw in these 37-year-old Nikes, the all quartz. But the insole isn't removable, it's glued in. Then to the outsole, so this is a classic old school herringbone outsole. You see it in Adidas and Nikes. And it's a flat outsole, so a lot of skaters like that because you have contact with the board at every point of your foot because you never know how you're gonna land. And you want to be able to manipulate the board at any given time with any part of your foot. But other than that, it just seems like it's a regular Nike outsole, nothing special about it. I'm hoping it's a little bit thicker, but it's usually not the case. And then the way this shoe is constructed is a vulcanized foxing construction. It's still a popular style of construction. I don't love it as much because a lot of times you'll wear the heel out and the heel will separate from the foxing in the upper, like in this shot from this Vans video. It's super annoying when it happens and it prematurely ruins your shoes. Initially, it seemed like it's a pretty good shoe. I have high hopes for it. I'm hoping there's some decent construction on the inside because it is $100 for this shoe. And I just love the patches, if they're real patches. So now let's cut it in half. All right, we got them cut in half, and did you see how odd this outsole cut? It was like kind of chunking off into chunks. It might just be because my blade's dull, but let's see what's inside. My worst fears came true. It's not a full double lined patch. You can see that it's kind of a double patch, but it's not really because the structural part isn't double up. It's just a little bit of extra leather. You can see how the upper leather is cut and stopped before it gets to the actual ollie patch here, which is kind of a bummer. And the toe is just not a real toe cap, which is also a bummer. If anything, the toe cap makes it weaker because if this stitch fails, your whole foot, your toes are exposed to the world, and nobody wants to do that for free. The lineman patch, same thing. I think we'll test this in the Ollie test, but it's almost worse that if you hit those stitches, that's the only thing holding that area together. You get a big gaping hole there, I think. So we'll test it, but I'm bummed because I thought these these shoes are going to be really durable, long-lasting shoe that actually had some reinforcement of leather, but it's not the case. And unfortunately, the rest of the construction is pretty on par with Nike. It's just a thinner outsole with a little bit of these voids to give you a little bit of cushioning. And then you've just got a kind of a cellulose lasting board, this cheap insole, and then the lining junk, and then the leather upper. So it's not great. You know, it's just on par for Nike. It's nothing special, but this also isn't the skateboarding version of this. So I think if this video does well and you guys want to see it, we'll compare the regular BLAZERs versus the skate version, because maybe that's what I'm looking for. So the next thing we need to do is ollie these to death and see how many ollies it takes to destroy this and where it actually fails and how it fails, because this actually might be worse for durability than just a regular shoe because it's not actually double lined. So first, let's take bets in the shop and see who's closest. And so let's get to it.
12.
Okay.
12?
No faith in Nike.
86.
99.
160.
182.
199.
I'd say like over 200.
1,000.
1,000 ollies?
Okay, the results are in, and it took 304 ollies to wear through the ollie patch. And so Breck's the winner. Congrats to Breck. And I was way off. My guess was 32, so it literally was 10 times more ollies than I expected. We stopped the test at the point where Sam's new ollies were starting to wear on the leather underneath, and we had officially worn through that ollie patch. So I feel pretty comfortable in saying if you bought these shoes for skating, you would get at least 300 extra ollies out of your shoes before you even started wearing to the leather underneath. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna get an extra 300 once you're at this point. So overall, my final thoughts, yes, I think they are a good skateboarding shoe. I think you'll get some extra durability out of them. Will I buy a pair after this? I think I'm gonna hold off to see how good the SB version is. So if you wanna see that, be sure to let me know in the comment section and also subscribe so you don't miss it. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you so much for everything you do. See ya.